we'll just free ball, bro.
Talk, man.
And I'll just give you a little disclose information here. I'm over being sick. It was never COVID. I tested 6 times to make sure because I have work and stuff. But I do have this like cough still sometimes. So I'm gonna like if I end up like having a hacking fit, we gotta edit that shit.
Don't worry.
But I won't. I'll be alright.
Have you had COVID yet?
I had it twice, dude. I had it January 2020, so I had it before we knew what it was.
Oh shit!
But well, you know, they were like, "Oh, like it seems like you have fucking pneumonia, and we can't figure it out, and all this shit." So they gave me like antibiotics and all that. And then March hit when everyone had COVID. And I'm like, "Oh, I had it early on," because during Christmas, my uncle was in Thailand, and he came straight from Thailand to our house with my whole family, and he thought he was super jet lagged, and what he had was like the first stage of COVID. He was probably one of the first people in the U.S. to have it.
No shit.
I mean, he came here in December. Think about it, dude, bringing it over, and then I got it probably from him, myself, him, and my dad got it, but like 20 other people in my house didn't get it, including like my 95-year-old grandma.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I don't know. The shit was selective or something.
Yeah, very selective.
Well, because I had all the symptoms, so I'm assuming I had COVID. You know, because he had it, and then I had it last Christmas.
Did you have Omicron? Like the Omicron variant?
I got that on Christmas, but I went and I was in Modesto at the time, and they had at the hospital there, they had the monoclonal like
antibodies.
And dude, I tested. I just had a scratchy throat, and I tested, and it was positive. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I feel fine. I just got I got a scratchy throat. That was it. I didn't have fever. I didn't have nothing. I called me an appointment. The next day, I went over there. My insurance took it. They gave me a test, said, yep, you're positive, hooked me up with the antibodies, just like a bag of fluids, boom. Literally within 24 hours, because I started feeling sick, 24 hours, I was testing negative.
Shit.
Just in and out like that. And I'm like, why aren't you guys doing this for more people? And the doctor was like, honestly, because doctors don't want to see COVID positive patients face to face. And the doctor was like, but he was like, last time I checked, that was my fucking job. I had an MD in front of my name. Like, why wouldn't we be doing this? But all the doctors, because they don't actually want to see COVID patients, even though they could literally just knock it out for you like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we've been streaming this whole time. Hopefully we don't get ejected because we said COVID so many times.
Oh, he's already going?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I didn't even think about that. But then as we're talking about,
my
like,
bad.
Fuck, we might get ejected. It's all right, dude. So one thing, we'll keep the mic about a fist away from the mouth.
About a fist away?
About a fist away.
Okay. Cool.
And then if ever you see me look back at the thing, I'm just checking to make sure the audio is streamlining.
Cool.
1, 2. You have to eat the dream. You have to sleep the dream. You have to dream the dream. You gotta touch. You have to see it when nobody else sees it. You have to feel it when it's not tangible. You have to believe it when you cannot see it. You gotta be possessed with the dream. What's up, guys, and welcome to Straight from the Chest podcast. My name is Justin Groth, and I'm your host on this personal development, personal growth podcast that I'm excited that you're taking part in today. Listen, if you are a new time listener, I just want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for being here. And if this is your second or 252nd time tuning back in, thank you for your continued listenership, support of the channel. It means a lot to me. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, anywhere where there's podcasts, we're likely there. Please go hit the subscribe button there, and on YouTube as well, Straight from the Chest podcast. And if you find this podcast valuable or you think anybody else could value from it, please do not hesitate to share it on your IG, Twitter, Facebook. If it's on Instagram, tag me at Justin Craig Roth. I'll be sure to re-mention you in the stories. And like always, without further ado, let's get into it. Ryan, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, dude. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, man. So for people who are unaware and not familiar with who you are, why don't you just introduce yourself, brother?
Like you said, my name is Ryan Hernandez, and I own a local meal prep company in San Luis Obispo called Clean Machine Meals. Everything I do is gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, refined sugar-free. That kind of usually knocks out all the things people usually can't have or shouldn't have, or any kind of allergens they may have. I've been a chef for over 15 years, worked in some fine dining restaurants, and that's kind of like where I got my start from, was fine dining. And through fitness and started meal prepping for friends, I figured I can do something on a much bigger scale and wander outside fine dining and take the tools I learned along the way to make more of a fine dining experience through like meal prep and clean eating. And as we know, I mean, some people, I know personally, you don't mind. You like just getting the fuel in. You like, you know, you like what's old and faithful. It's easy to get in the carbs, the fats, the protein. Some people have a harder time with adjusting to that, you know. So it's kind of like, it's what I'm there for, is to make clean eating, as you called it once, tastes like cheating.
Man, and does it. So I've had a lot of your dishes, and I honestly, they are, for people listening, and this isn't a plug, and he's not paying me to say this, his shit is too good. And when you're eating it, you almost feel like you're cheating. And I know that you're probably listening there and thinking, well, isn't that the point? Don't you adhere better to that? Yeah, I guess if you're the regular Joe that needs to eat healthier and be in a caloric restricted, on a caloric restricted diet, then that can help you adhere much or very easily, right? I'm like you said, man, very grassroots, like beef and rice and chicken and rice and sweet potato and broccoli and shit, and that's it. And so like when I would eat that food, it was like, I don't know what's in this. And even though you tell me it's all this and I believe you, I'm thinking like, this too good to be true, man. It's just too good to be true. And I said, Ryan, just make me like basic beef and rice.
You literally couldn't like wrap your head around it. That's what I love.
couldn't,
You're like,
man.
I would tell you, I'd give you all the ingredients. You're like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Just I need sweet potatoes, beef and rice, or like chicken. Like that's it. And I'd be like, I made this sauce with all these clean ingredients, like honey instead of sugar. And you're like, bro, I can't process.
It's
just
what it was,
make it
man.
make it simple.
For me.
No,
Now,
yeah.
I know you have a lot of clientele that, I mean, you've been in business first and foremost. You've been in business for quite a while, man. Why don't you talk about the background of that?
Yeah, I left my last restaurant I was at in San Luis Obispo to like pursue this and do it full time. It was one of those things where it's like it was risky, like rolling the dice. You know how it is starting your own business. Like you put everything you have into it, every last dollar you have, and you're like, I'm gonna jump feet first, and if it doesn't, head first, not feet first.
Head first.
jump feet first. I guess that's the safe way.
People
of doing
jump feet first. Yeah.
And I went for it, and it worked out really well. I had I had such good relationships with people all around the Central Coast from doing CrossFit competitions at the time. I had a good amount of people backing me already. So I had people kind of lined up to like support me, which was great. I started doing that, and it's been 5 years now. I just hit 5 years.
Good for you.
So
man.
I've been working for myself for 5 years. I still see people, and they're like, "Is that all you're doing? Like you're doing that full time?" Like, yeah, I've been doing it full time. 5 years.
It's a full-time job, man.
And doing it through COVID too. That was. I just dropped the C word.
Oh no, we're good. We're good.
All through that time, it was really hard talking to people because I know it was really hard time for everyone. I don't want to even say some people, for everyone. Like, we're all unsure. Like, you couldn't have people in your gym, in your spot. Like, that's your livelihood, like you're thinking, what am I going to do? And also I know how particular you are about things. You're like, I don't want sick people in my gym either. Like even if you're working some backdoor situation, like you got to be safe and safe for your clients as well. But like during that time, it was hard talking to people because like my business like tripled during that time.
Did it really?
Yeah. And then most of it was because I think I was taking a big risk, like still going out and getting things, going to the grocery stores and delivering to people. But I made it, I know, from day one, we all thought like we were going to walk outside and you're going to like die. We didn't know what this thing was or what was happening. So, I was able to make it where we have pickup locations and people would drive up and I would bring their food out, ask their name, bring it out to them. So instead of having to go to the grocery store and do all that and take all this risk, like I did it, so now they had food ready, even though people were at home by themselves or with their families. Maybe they didn't want to cook all the time. Maybe they just want food ready to go or still be on top of their eating habits. And I was able to provide that. And that's when it really picked up during that time. And it was just wild because everything was so up in the air, and that's really when it picked up. And I was very thankful during that time that happened. Mostly because I was able to help people who I knew didn't know what was going on, didn't know where they were going to get food or how to get food or how to continue eating clean. Because now when it was up to them to be at home all the time, they're like, a lot of people don't know how to eat. That's the thing. People don't know how. Like we're as Americans, we're taught, to like eat everything on your plate. And also when you go out to eat, you eat until you're sick, till you can't take another bite. But there's still enough left on the plate for you to have lunch the next day. And like, that's not how we're supposed to eat.
Yeah.
Until you're sick and you're full and you need to take a nap after. Like portion control is so important. And I think that's also what I provide for my clients as well. And I've made bigger meals and people are like, please don't do that. Like, this is what helps me like evaluate where I'm at and stay on track. Like, I don't want more food. Like, I want exactly what you're doing. And that was interesting to hear. Because you always think, more bang for your buck and all that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's really like everything's portioned to how it needs to be for pretty much the average person to be able to control and eat and go about the rest of your day and not feel sick or like you need a nap after.
Is it still around about high 3s to low 400 calorie meals?
I've bumped up a little bit because I've had to like raise my prices due to inflation, and I have compensated somewhat in size. And depending on the meals I do, I have it at about 390 to about 500 now.
I see.
So I've bumped them up a little bit. And some people, like if they don't want to eat it all at one time, they could save a little bit left.
Yeah.
But I've just, some of the meals that we made, I've really kind of changed the direction of what I'm doing and made it even more wild, I guess. And we really went out with some other recipes, and they have just been higher caloric. And so, yeah, it could get up to about 500, but it doesn't really ever get past that, which is still pretty good for whole food situation. It's a lot of food.
Yeah. Well, what were some of the hurdles you faced, man? You know, you kind of breezed over some of the hurdles you may have had or alluded to some that you had during COVID, but what were the specific hurdles that were almost knocking you out of the park?
Like taking me down, or
right.
just like, yeah, it was getting people their food, because, you know, you really weren't even supposed to be leaving home unless you had like a doctor's appointment, or, you know, at least for those first couple of weeks, it was supposed to be like whatever essential what you're doing. So getting people, lining them up and trying to, you know, tell them like, it's okay. Like you can come here and still pick up your food, and, you know, you can wear a mask, you could pull up, like I'll bring your food out to you, like contactless, you know, handoff in a sense. Making sure people felt safe that way, because like everything was so uncertain. We had no idea what this whole thing was. You know, it was a scary time. So I think the biggest thing was making sure people felt safe, and that we were still taking care of them, and that we were going to be there. Staffing definitely was an issue. It is now, but like all my friends who were cooks at all these fine dining restaurants, they got laid off, you know? So it was like, yo, like I still got work for you. But otherwise, I gotta say, that time might have been the most carefree, like breeze by of my like career. Really? Was during that time, which is like the complete opposite of what it was for the world. Like, dude, I have a hard time thinking about hurdles because I was so thankful for having an amazing crew who I had all of a sudden, clients that were supporting me more than ever. I had it was still a large kitchen. Like, I don't want to say like sanitation was hard, because like we are, you know, there's codes you already follow by of sanitizing and wiping everything down. And we still followed that. But the hurdles, there really wasn't a lot during that time, which is interesting now that you mention it. Like, it was like probably the most breeze by time.
Did it cause you to have to implement new things to like scale up?
A little bit. I mean, I just need more staff. You know what? Actually, the biggest hurdle now I think about is inflation, like the cost of everything, because everything was so scarce. Like if you went to the grocery store, there's nothing on the shelves. There's nothing, wiped out. And that helped, that caused inflation in all the food. Like, so my prices, like my food costs itself, and even getting it, like I couldn't get a lot from my suppliers, and I get it like wholesale. I couldn't get food for a while. Like, so I had to curate my menus specifically to what I could get. So that was actually really hard. Like figuring out, what am I going to make this week? And I get to my guy, like, here, I need, 300 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. He's like, we're out of breasts. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we can't get a hold of it because there's no one to work in the factories, where they process all the chickens, all the workers, they're laid off right now. So we can't even get it right now.
Was there ever a time where you made a menu list predicated on what you knew you could get, but then you call your vendor and he doesn't have it, and you have to change the menu?
Yep.
That's happened.
Yeah, that's actually now why I have on there is like ingredients subject to change due to availability. And that's like all my posts now in fine print, which people like just rolled with. I mean, they understood. No one was really bitching during that time. You know what I mean? I think that was a time where everyone kind of gave everyone some leeway because we all knew we were having it hard. Like, there were, like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like just an easy time. Like, I'm a chef, dude. Like, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, like, we get curveballs and wrenches thrown in us at all times. It's like, oh, you got 6 burners to work with and you have a full restaurant, but 2 of your burners are. I was like, hey, now you only have 4 burners for the night. Like, figure it out. Like, just used to that and just having to roll with the punches. Like, okay, we'll figure it out. So, like, just constantly, like without that kind of training in my past, I think I would have crumbled along the way.
Oh, for sure.
But having that a big thing is like mental toughness on top of it. Cause it's so easy to just give up. Like, people just like, well, I only have 4 burners. Like, how am I supposed to cook? I can't. Like, how am I supposed to work with this? As opposed to someone who's ingrained, like, no, we will make this work. We'll get by, it might take a little bit longer, but that's just kind of how I am too. Like, I'm not going to give up. There's so many people depending on me to be able to make this happen. So something like, hey, we don't have the food you want from the menu you made. Like, okay, well, I guess I'll just make a new menu on the fly and like post it. Like, hey, we're changing this due to availability. Like, you roll with the punches when you have to, and you change things when you need to make sure you accommodate, your clients or your people, or just, I feel like that relates to everything in life. Like, things are not always going to go your way, and you don't just give up. You absolutely have to come up with an alternate plan, of attack.
Is there anybody that's side by side with you running the company, or is it just you?
It's just me. Yeah, it's just me. I had someone who like really helped me, who I really depend on. It was my really good friend Kenny. And he just like back in March, he just like suddenly passed away. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
so that was rough.
bro.
He was like my second in command. Like if I wasn't there, or I needed someone to help with anything, it was like the only person I had that I could like really trust to take care of stuff. And it was like, running the company, I do that myself, but it was like the one person I had to lean on to, like, if I was sick, or if I just needed a hand with something, it was like that dude. So that's been tough this year, but like just kind of rebounding from that.
Dang, man. I'm sorry about that, brother.
Thanks, dude. It's just rolling with the punches still.
Yeah. We could title the podcast that, Rolling with the Punches.
Rolling with the punches.
Seriously, man. I wanted to segue into Clientele. Now, you have a lot of people that are picky eaters.
Mm-hmm.
That I was a picky eater in the sense that I didn't want sodium. I didn't want like a lot of sodium. You remember that?
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are people that are like really specific. In fact, I remember I had a client for you, and I remembered she contacted you about doing the foods, and then she was like, had this laundry list of what she fucking didn't want, and you're like, and then can I only pick out certain meals that I want? Can I tell you to make this meal and not this? Like, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember telling her that you can't do that. Like, this is his menu, and then this is what you get, and you might get one more meal that maybe like a duplicate of something more over than maybe what you wanted, but that's just the way it is when you order a 10-pack or 12-pack, depending on how you do it now. I don't know how you do it now, but how you did it prior. And so that was my experience with one person, and I'm not even in your business, so I can only imagine what you probably deal with. People are very particular eaters, man.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while. Like I had some new emails this week, and it's a challenge with people who are new because they don't know how the system works. And once they get the system, like, it's easy, like ordering by the deadline on Friday, and if you order on by Sunday, like, you might not get it delivered on Monday because we're already, getting everything, the ball rolling. Like, I have my own, I got to place my own orders and get all the food in, and like I can't over order, otherwise I'm out of pocket, all that stuff. But I do have some picky eaters. Most people do roll with it, and I try to accommodate the best that I can. Like a lot of places, it'll have like online, a lot of stuff there's frozen, which is why they have more of a variety. But it's like, here, pick 10 meals, and it's like, here we have orange chicken, we have this. You're like, oh, I want 2 of that, 6 of that. But they have much broader meals, and that's because they're making them week to week and they're freezing them. Some of the meals you might get are already 4 weeks old,
Yeah.
I make a menu, and it's 3 options. That's about all we can do with the time we're given. And it's kind of like, here's what you're getting. If you're like, hey, if we have, 10, you get a 4, 3, and 3 split. Well, maybe you want, 6 of this, 3 of that, 2 of that. Like, that's okay. I can do that. But I can't, like, you can't sub out like ingredients, because then by that time I'm customizing for individual people. Now I'm a personal chef, and if I'm doing it for 80 people, I just can't do it. So like, I accommodate the best I can for allergies as well. I have some people who have allergy issues, but gluten, soy, dairy, refined sugar, I really feel that knocks out most of the sensitivities people have. And unless you have celiac disease, that's a real problem. But other people, sensitivities, like, I can work with for the most part.
So you were my personal chef, basically.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I did yours just for you and no one else. Like, I was 100% your personal chef. But you're easy. You're in the sense of like sweet potatoes and meat and some veggies. Like, that's half the time I have the veggies already. I always have rice or like sweet potatoes, like lean around. Like that's easy. Now it's funny because I have dogs and I cook for them. My dogs get your meals now. That's what I make for them every week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like
That's
the same
so
thing.
funny, man.
It's just like rice, sweet potatoes, carrots, peas, like chicken, and it all simmers, and I make it. And like, I actually started a dog food company doing the same thing.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What's that called?
It's called Wagtail Dog. It was going to be called The Rough Life.
Yeah, I like it.
RUFF. But when we went to file the license, someone already had that, and like last minute, I was doing it with a partner, and they were like, "Oh, Wagtail," and I was like, "That's dumb," but okay, let's roll with it because we already have orders coming in from people, and I've been doing it on the side, but we kind of at a standstill right now because things have been too crazy. I guess we'll get into it, but like, I don't know if I told you, but like, I built my own kitchen, like my own commercial kitchen. Yeah, I'm not working out of like renting anymore. Like, I have my own commercial kitchen now.
Oh shit, man, good for you.
Yeah.
When did that come about?
January.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
January. I guess you could say like a kitchen partner and I guess I'll say shout out to Dan Your Kitchen. They own a catering company, and we were all working out of the same kitchen. That's actually a really wild story. I don't know if we'll get into that, but
No, tell it. Tell it.
Then it's okay. We worked in this kitchen with this guy who was a bit unhinged, and it was a bad environment. It's a bad, toxic environment. We were trying to get out of it. And we found a kitchen. We found a spot to be able to work out of. They already had like a hood system in and a walk-in, and we're like, we're gonna get our own kitchen because we're growing so fast. We need it, and we're tired of people renting double booking our cooking spots and times, and it was just very stressful. So we told the owner, hey, we're putting our notice. I was taking time off for Christmas anyway, so I said, here's my month notice. I'm gonna be here for a month. I'm getting my stuff out, and he just lost his mind. Like saying that we backstabbed him and all this. I said, man, it's just business. And like, I'm leaving because you act like this and you stress me out and it's just bad for business. So the next day I told him we'd be in to get our stuff and we're moving out. And he was like screaming at us, telling us how we could have sat down like gentlemen and talked about all this. Like, there's nothing to talk about, dude. I'm getting my own kitchen. Like, I'm not taking your people. I need my own space. I'm growing, thank you for giving me the opportunity to grow and move out of here. Anyway, the next day we're moving our stuff out. Told him we'd be there at 9:30. He shows up and the dude just grabs me by the shirt, shakes me, pushes me into one of my guys.
Wow.
Fist up, like ready to fight. And I had just gotten over COVID. Like I had just started testing negative and like I was sick. I was weak. And I just remember I looked up because I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna have to hit this guy because he's assaulting me in front of everybody. And there was like a camera on. I was like, oh, you screwed yourself. You're so screwed. Cops had to come. They had to put him in handcuffs. He was screaming and yelling. And I was the cops like, what do you want us to do? I'm like, just wait here while we move all our stuff. This dude's just out of his mind. And there's he had his homies who showed up and they were getting real tough. And I'm like, guys, like, no one's trying to start anything here. We're just trying to get out of here. We just want out. And then we ended up moving the kitchen, but he claimed that we stole like $10,000 worth of his stuff out of the kitchen. Like, I mean, we bought all new stuff. We don't need his broken stuff. And it's really sad. It's really sad because they did a full investigation on him and then they watched the cameras and all that stuff and they found out that they came to the conclusion that he was committing insurance fraud and canceled his insurance, which is my fault somehow. I get blamed for that and I kept getting nasty text messages and I'm like, bro, like committed insurance fraud. Yeah. Yes. So I don't know. None of this is really relevant, but it's just it was a huge transition in our own place, this huge like outburst. And I was like, this is why we're getting away from here. We need our own space. This is what I've been dealing with for 3 years, this kind of mentality and this kind of person. And so like,
was he there often?
Yeah, he was in there all the time. He'd be doing his own thing. But it was hard because I like to keep a positive, energetic space, and like what energy I put in my employees, and what we put in the food. Like if you have that kind of bad, negative energy and someone who's like that all the time, just unhinged and like, just like, unfortunately, like literally off their meds, like I don't want that energy to be around the food and my people because I really feel like it does affect everything, and it was stressful. Going to work every day started to become stressful. We didn't know what was going to happen, if this guy was going to blow up or what, and then so it was just like, we need our own space, a clean workspace, physically and mentally,
Yeah.
So having our own space now has been amazing. It's kitchen's clean all the time. We have all new equipment that we bought. I put every last cent I had in this place, and it was almost like starting all over again. But like now, like I'm not having to rent a space from someone. I mean, we have my kitchen partners. They're not part of my business. They have their own business, but like we invested in this place together, and we have it together. And being able to go in there and just like when I'm mopping the floors, it's not like, oh, I'm just mopping something. Like these are our floors. These are my floors.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna be extra clean because I'm prideful in what we have and what we work for. Like dude, like when you had your own gym, I'm sure right when you opened it, you built it yourself, you for sure looked around probably, or when you put a new piece of equipment in there, you look and you're like, dude, like I worked my ass off for this. And this is going to benefit so many people in here. You know what I mean? And like, even when you're just cleaning and sanitizing it, you're like proud of it. You don't want it to be dirty. You don't want it to be nasty. You just want everything to be nice and tidy. And like you worked your ass off to have that.
I agree, man. That's quite literally how it is. And it's almost a burden sometimes because you're so particular and you're so anal about that new piece of equipment or that new, or the new quote unquote baby. I hate to call it that, but it's like the that thing that your prized possession, the thing that you work so hard for. It's very, you do your best to keep it looking new and people. My studio is 6 years old. And that motherfucker looks not even a year old because I'm so anal retentive with everything in there, including the equipment. And even though it gets banged up and shit, okay, but I do my best at keeping everything clean and shit, because that's the image of the gym. That's if there's a patron that goes in there that has a private access membership, I want them to get the same experience as like a personal training client would, where they walk in, everything has got a place, everything's organized, is put away. Everything's particular in the way that I like it. But that also comes with a burden, because you're constantly having to keep things that way. So I almost sometimes wish I was not so much like that, man, because it's tough to remain that way, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I feel like the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Like, and if you didn't care, if you just let it slide, you know, like if I came here and you slide like laundry over here because you're just folding your laundry, like, it's fine. Like Ryan doesn't mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you like only had one light, the lighting wasn't good, and like one light went out, you'd be like, it's fine, we'll roll with one. Instead of like getting it replaced, like just like those little things, like letting those little things slide though, like those show, like it's not just that one thing, they show throughout the rest of your life. And that's how I feel. Like if I just let shit slides, if I just like, it's fine. Like no one cares. Like, yeah, but I care. I care, not like I care about your shit. I mean, I care about my shit. Like you care about your shit, you know? And if you start letting those things slip, then everything else starts slipping. And don't get me wrong, that's just how it works for me. But I feel like it's more like don't talk about it, be about it. Like, you know, you got to set your own example for yourself and for others. Like being a leader, like in my kitchen, if they're like, hey chef, like let's mop this, you know, we got to mop the kitchen still. And if we've been in there like 12 hours, I'm like, you know what guys, like we're tired. We'll just do it tomorrow. Like coming into a dirty space, starting your day fresh like that, like it's not the way to go. Like, no, we're going to be here another 20 minutes and we're going to finish the job the way it needs to get done. And we're going to have a clean workspace. And in case anyone else comes in here, they're not going to walk into a shit show and be like, what the hell is this? You know, they don't need to know that we were all tired and we worked all day. Like there's no excuses. Like things need to be done right. And again, like how you do anything is how you do everything. And it needs to be done well. Like just like you clean your equipment. You say sometimes you wish you were like that. But if you were like that, then maybe you wouldn't be where you're at.
True. And I think that if I wasn't to be that way, there would be a piece of my identity that would be missing from the equation, you know, because it's just not like me to not do that, you know. It's not like you're, you know, it's grading. We grade everything, bro. And like you say that, you know, I don't care about your shit. I care about my shit. I agree with you. However, when you walk into somebody's space, you grade. And so you care on that level because it's showcasing that person really doesn't care that much. And that doesn't make it seem like it's that important to that person, which makes it seem like it's not important in and of in the entirety of the situation. Like, for example, when you made the illustration of the podcast room, if you walked in my studio and I had a light out, or if I had fucking laundry on my couch, people that are listening, there's a couch here, there's a black leather couch, and there's 2 black leather chairs, but you can't see the couch because it's not in frame. If there were clothes on my couch, and then if I had a light out or something, or if like, I don't know, I didn't have shit set up, you know, you'd be like, is this like really important to you? Because you're not ready. You're not ready. And so in life, you want to be ready. Like we were talking even off mic when you came here, like you said, I like to be punctual, man. Even if I don't like to ever be late. And you weren't late, by the way, but you're like, you want to be 5 minutes early. So you were like 1 minute early. You weren't 5 minutes early, which to you, that's an issue. But that's the reason that just attests to your professionalism and the way you do things in life, which is the reason why you have a business and you haven't crumbled yet under pressure, because you hold yourself to a certain standard. And that's important. More people have to hold themselves to standards, or else your life will be frivolous and it won't mean anything and it won't be everything it could be. And when I say life, I mean your pursuits, your ventures, the way you do shit, the way you interact with people, etc. Like all that shit matters. It's holding yourself to a certain standard that keeps everything at a very optimized position, you know? And so I think that's important. And you have standards on your food. You have standards on your cleanliness. You have standards on your practice. You have standards on all of that, which is the reason why you uphold a certain measure within the community of bravado, so to speak, like about your meals and about the way you do things and everything. It's all tethered together, man. And you have that, you've been able to scale repeatedly because you're good at what you do, because you put a standard on your food. You put a standard on your routine, a standard on your practice, etc. You know, the reason why you didn't crumble wasn't because you're just good under pressure. It's because you hold yourself to a standard. It's evident in your body. It's evident in your look, in your hair, and the way you treat your skin. It's all evident. You're very aesthetic. You're very well put together. But all that is only because you hold yourself at a standard. No one else holds you to any standard. They just take what they fucking get. Whenever they see you, they're like, well, this is Ryan. Okay. So if you were like fucked up hair and fucking fat, you'd be, oh, this is Ryan, I guess. That's what they would think, dude.
I think, honestly, if they saw me like that, I think if they even saw me with fucked up hair, they'd be like, yo, are you good? Because they know I hold myself to that standard.
Well,
you
this
know
is
what I mean?
This is based on you not ever being this way. You know, like,
no, right. They're taking you for face value, like this is just who they are.
Right.
It's kind of like, unfortunately, someone I mean, we all have friends, and you know, you've had someone who might be out of shape, or not even out of shape, just not give a shit. We've all had those friends who just don't care. Like, yo, did you wear that shirt 3 times this week? And obviously haven't washed it because it's wrinkly. We could tell you threw it on the ground and sniffed it 2 days later, and like, I'll put it back on. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And you wonder why you're miserable and like no one loves me. Yeah, no girl or dude or anybody's gonna like you like that. Like you gotta make changes for yourself. And I'm all about taking people for who they are. But I've talked to people and I've come to a realization there's people who everyone wants it easy now. Everyone just wants it's what's comfortable and simply like, you know, we shouldn't have to go to work if it's hard and if we don't enjoy it. I agree, you should enjoy what you do. But sometimes, and maybe for years, like your job sucks and you might hate it. But guess what? Last time I checked, you got bills to pay still. And unless you got another way to work around that, like I'm all about pursuing your passion, your career. But sometimes we got to do the things that suck to keep moving forward. And life isn't always going to be fun. Work isn't always going to be fun. Some days, like you're probably tired as shit from like training and doing stuff and you still have to train someone. You might be like, man, I don't really want to do this. But you still got to show up. You got to smile. You, no matter how tired you are, and you got to do what you have to do to keep moving. And you know, for your people too. And I just feel we're at a time now where people they want the maximum pay for just the bare minimum, like showing up. I've had people who just like, it's like, hey, can you show me how to, we got terms in the kitchen. So they'd be like, show me how to chiffonade. And they're like, what's chiffonade? I'm like, well, first off, it's French, but you know, show me what a brunoise is. Brunoise. I'm like, okay, show me a medium dice. What's a medium dice? Show me a small dice. What's a small dice? What's a large dice? Okay. So you don't know shit about fuck. Got it. Okay.
Are these terminologies or is this terminology that all like cooks should know?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me what those mean?
A brunoise or like a batonette is like where you would make like matchstick size, like with a carrot. So there's something called Mirepoix. We'll start from there. Mirepoix. Mirepoix.
Okay.
Mirepoix. It's French it's like a base of all soup. So it'd be like onion, celery, carrots, and usually you throw garlic in there. So that's like a base, but a lot of times you chop up Mirepoix as just a base for everything, whether you're doing soups or you're braising like beef short ribs or anything. So you want everything to be uniformed, even if it's all just getting cooked off. Uniformed, I mean everything the same size, same shape. Because a lot of times when you see something on a plate, whether it's like braised meat that has all the mirepoix in it with like a sauce, like if you have a piece of celery that's a perfect like 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch cube, which is a medium dice, and all of a sudden you have this piece of celery this fucking big and this long, like you're gonna be like, what is that? Like what is this half-ass? Like someone just, everything has to be uniform. And that's the part with cooking that happens. Like everything, it's so militaristic. Like when it comes to cooking, everything has to be perfect and the same every time. Like if you went to Jocko's, what's your favorite part about like the dinner, other than the steak? Okay, the steak, obviously the steak. But what other sides do you get that you eat on your cheat meal, by the way?
Baked potato with loaded baked potato. I love their bread.
Okay.
And then I dip. This is like my thing. I dip the bread because it's laced with butter.
Yeah.
It's just grilled with butter in the bean juice.
Okay.
And I eat, and then so there's that, and then I think honestly that's it. So baked potato, steak, and then the bread and the beans, and then cheesecake.
The baked
and ice
potato,
cream.
is it just like a baked potato and they cut open and they load it up in there? What if they just brought it to you with the potato just like that and nothing on top of it? And what if the beans came with like the juice, but there was no juice in there? It was just the beans.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This isn't like I come here because I know exactly what I'm getting. Like, and this is off. You know what I mean? Or what if your steak was only grilled on one side? You know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, what is this? Like am I being pranked? My point is like consistency. You go there because you know it's going to be consistent every time and you know what you're going to get. Like it's not going to be different. The salad, they're not going to be like, hey, we tried some new dressing tonight. You know, you're like, no, you're going to get your fucking ranch or your blue cheese or whatever. And no one's going to do it in the back. The server is going to go there with the bowl and they're going to pour it over themselves. That's what they do. Like they don't change anything. And you go there because you enjoy it because of its consistency. If it was different the next time, they're like, hey, we're trying something new. You'd be like, no, I don't want you to try something new. I want exactly what I get. This is why I'm here because I know what I'm getting. So my point is that consistency, like you want everything in the kitchen when you're cutting things, especially if I tell someone I want basil that's chiffonaded. It's where you take basil, you stack leaves on top of each other, you roll it, I guess like you would a joint. You just roll it and then you slice it as thin as you can, and it makes these rounds. They're like little swivels, and you open it up and it's like these ribbons, but it's very specific, a chiffonade. That's how you do it. And so if I told someone, you know, I want Mirepoix cut in like a medium dice, all the carrots, onions, and celery should all be cut the exact same way, in the exact same shape, the exact same size. So my point is when I'm training someone and telling them, the whole point is we're going back and talking about people doing the bare minimum and wanting the most. If I tell someone, hey, grab, you know, do 5 pounds of Mirepoix, 5 pounds each, carrots, onions, celery, and cut them in a large dice or a medium dice or a small dice, whatever. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, okay, so you have no experience, but you're telling me you want top dollar to be here. Like, you know, like people want to be able just to show up and not know anything, but expect the most. And then when they do it, when you ask them to do anything above and beyond that, they're like, this is hard. It's like, no, like you got to pay your fucking dues. You have to come in here and work and learn. Like if you want to step into a kitchen, just listen. Don't try to pretend like you know anything. Just there's so much to absorb in here. And most people are willing to show those skills, what they've learned. I never went to culinary school, but I know those culinary school terms that they teach you pay $70,000 to learn. You know what I mean? Like all those things I'm telling you, like the base of a soup being Mirepoix and like chiffonade and dices and brunoise and all that stuff. Like that's all stuff that friends of mine who went to culinary school paid $70,000 to learn, who taught me because they cared about me, because I showed interest, because I was willing to shut the hell up, put my head down and learn and do what was hard. I left the job. I think it was like making like $14 an hour at like 20 years old, working at a grocery store, to go make $8 an hour cooking, working harder than I ever have in my life, long hours, no overtime, work cleaning off the clock, very illegal. Like all this stuff happened. If your station wasn't ready, if your station, meaning like all your food got wiped out the night before, well, there's no overtime allowed. So you had to have the integrity to be like, if we had to be there at 2 p.m., we had 3 hours to get ready for dinner service by 5. But you knew you couldn't get all that prep done in 3 hours. But you could do it in 5. You went in 2 hours early out the clock and you got that shit done because that's what had to be done for you to be ready and prepared for 5 p.m. It wasn't like, hey, you're not paying me for it. Like that wasn't it. Because if you came in on time and you didn't have it done, it was like, why wasn't this done? Well, I came in on time. Well, then you weren't working fast enough. So it's like, yo, you got to do what you got to do to put your head down and do it. Even if it's like illegal, like not getting paid, you know, on the clock for doing stuff. But what I'm saying now is it's hard with people working now and even finding help because people they have no experience and they don't want experience. Everyone. I feel like the whole, not the stimulus, but remember when everyone was getting like $1,200 a week from unemployment? I never got that shit. And the point is $1,200 a week. I feel like that was the most irresponsible thing they could have done, because there's 19-year-old kids who have been working for like 2 weeks of their life just learning how to like bag groceries, and they're like, hey, you're getting paid like someone who's making $70,000 a year. That ruined those kids. Because then when you had to go back to the real world and make $13 an hour minimum wage to work at Starbucks, you're like, what the hell? I was making $1,200 a week and now I'm going to make, $400 a week. Like that's insane. And I feel like it really ruined people because they come and they have this unrealistic expectation that someone like me, like a small business, can afford to pay somebody to cut potatoes for $70,000 a year.
Exactly. There was a lot of that. People weren't even going back to their jobs, man, because they weren't making the same amount of money as they were making when they just stayed home and did nothing.
Right.
And so it was hard for like business owners such as yourself to find people that were willing to work.
How toxic do you feel like that was? And I'm not gonna get all conspiracy theorists on all this shit, but fuck
it, let's do it.
But paying people to stay at home, like how much did that poison them to now feel like I got to sit at home and do nothing and make $70,000 a year? Why would I have to get up in the morning to make less and actually have to work when I could just ride this thing for as long as I possibly can? I feel like it made people mentally fat and lazy.
Yeah.
Because when it was over, they're like, I mean, dude, a year is so long to do nothing and to get in that routine. To get in that routine mentally and physically, then having to go back to work, everyone was like, oh, like I was doing just fine, like sleeping in as late as I want and doing this shit. But like, I feel like it really screwed with people mentally. And I you know, they weigh the pros and cons of what they do on the world, and they know what the effect it's going to have mentally and chemically on people's brains. So like, to be like, hey, you know, this is the way we keep people a little bit more where they want. We'll pretend like they're getting a lot from us, but make them lazy and mentally lazy and not have any motivation. So when things get back to normal, there's no motivation for anything.
Yeah, that's not a conspiracy. That's fucking reality. That's what happened, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you nailed it. And the fact is, like, we were just breeding. When I say we, I mean like the government per se. We're just breeding lazy fuckers more so than we already were. You know what I mean? Like, the people that want to go out and start businesses and whatnot, they're clearly not lazy. They clearly have more of a drive. There's an impetus behind them to do better, be better. But people that just working, by the way, we need those people. We need the people that are just laborers, man. Mm-hmm. They're very pivotal to building a company, to building anything. They didn't really care because obviously there's no person that unless they want more for their life, that's going to stay home or rather go out and make less money doing more work than if they were to just stay home, play video games, read a book, watch TV, watch Netflix, binge on that, and make more money. I mean, it makes sense, dude. Unless you want more for your life.
Right. And
there's a very small percentage of the world that want more for their life, that have dreams and visions and will at any cost do what they have to do to play those out. However long it takes, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, they'll be in the driver's seat there until they reach their destination. There are a lot of people that just don't think that way.
No, I and you know what? That's where I hold. I don't mean to, but I think I hold people to my standard. Like, I expect sometimes people to be on my same wavelength, and that's wrong of me. Like, when I see people not give a shit, when I see them like when they make food and it's just sloppy, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that looks like crap. Like, it's good enough. Like, that's one of my terms I can't deal with. It's good enough. If you have to say it's not good enough, you're telling me everything I need to know about you. That, oh, it's good enough. No, it's not. And I'm not saying everything in life has to be perfect, but it should be fucking perfect. Like, if you put all the effort you have into that, like, it's not hard. You just have to give a shit. And I tend to expect everyone to give a shit. And I realize they don't. That not everyone wants to go out there and bust their ass. Like I'm stressed out all the time because I have a million things coming my direction. And if I drop one ball, it all crumbles, whether it's emails or deliveries or remembering, making sure that I have enough staff work up for the weekend. And there's countless things I'd get into it. But like, I hold people thinking that people want more, like you said. And sometimes people don't. Some people just want to go 9 to 5, clock in, clock out, Saturdays, Sundays off, or they sleep in Saturdays, mow their lawn, do whatever, or drink on the weekends. And that's my own flaw that I have, thinking that I expect people to want more with their life, and some don't. Some people just exist, and that sucks. I just think like that sucks. What a waste. But not everyone's going to have drive like I do and like you do. And don't get me wrong, like, it's not always fun. It's fucking exhausting having drive and knowing that the worst thing is when you put all you have into something and it comes out great and you're still like, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. I could have worked a little bit harder. I can do that. And it's great. Everyone or whatever that outcome is, like, it is great, but you're still never good enough for yourself. You're always like, that could be better. And I was like, no, like, that you did a great job, or like, this food is amazing. I'm like, yeah, but I should have added this. There's nothing wrong with it. Just being your own worst critic. I'm sure you're like that too, where you're just like, you always feel like you could have done a little bit more, even though you put 110% in. But in the back of your mind, you're not ever satisfied with yourself.
Agreed. And people that are on the outside that are not that way will look at you and they'll think you have an issue, that you think that way about yourself. Oh, you're never satisfied. You're never going to be satisfied. And it's not the case. It's that I know I could do better. There's a difference between being satisfied and knowing I could have done better. But people like that won't understand where you're coming from. They won't understand your way of thought because they're not that way. It's like you're talking foreign to somebody and they can't understand the language that you're speaking. So just don't talk. I just don't talk to them about that. I shrug it off, and I keep quiet, because internally internally I'm ruminating on it massively, but that's not for them to know. No one needs to know the war that's going on in my brain about whatever thing I'm putting my energy into. All you need to know about and care about is the end finished product. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't need to worry about the operation, what I think about regarding it, where I want it to go, how I'm doing in the interim of everything. No, just concern yourself with the end product. And that's the only thing that people give a shit about anyways.
Right. No one cares about the journey it took you to get there. No one cares that half my staff didn't show up this weekend. You know what I mean? Or like, or an oven went out. Like I still have to provide this food and these things for these people. You know what I mean? And like you said, they only care about the end result. Like I can't go online and be like, hey, like I had it really hard this weekend and this happened, that happened. Like, well, these people are paid up. They're already paid up. What am I going to do? You know, like I owe it to them. Like they don't care. And I know there's a lot of people who've told me like, hey, just be honest with people. Just tell them what's going on. Like no one gives a shit about what I'm going through. People want their food. They're paid for that. And some people are good people and they do. But like no one cares, because a lot of times I know a lot of my clients, but there's some clients I'll get emails and they're like, hey, can you do this and that? I'm like, man, this person really thinks like I have a receptionist or someone sitting behind a desk just taking emails. Literally, no, I'm fucking driving like, oh, hey, sorry about your order. It'll be on the way. You know what I mean? Like, it's just me. Like, it is me. And I'll get emails that are like, hey, maybe, like, it's so funny when people word it. I'm like, they really think I have this, like, huge operation. I mean, it is big, but, like, that I have this staff and there's a team and someone taking phone calls. Like, it's me. It's me. And I'll get emails at 10 p.m. and I'm like, it takes everything I have to not email them back, because I'm like, you got to set boundaries for yourself. I'll answer 9 a.m. tomorrow, which would be like normal business hours. And by 9 a.m. I'll have a text or I'll have an email like, hey, I emailed you. I didn't hear back. I'm like, you emailed me at 10 p.m. last night. It is now 8:50 a.m. Like, just chill, you know?
Well, it's like that now. Where you're doing everything now, but it's not going to be like that forever. And people don't understand that when they're trying to build something, they think, oh, well, this is too much for me to take on by myself. But you don't have the resources to hire a massive team yet. But that's coming. But you have to build up something enough to where you have validity in what you're doing to then be able to hire a team and have this massive operation. Yeah. But that before that, grassroots, man, you're doing all this shit yourself. Maybe one other person, like an assistant with you. And that's about it. But it stays that way for years. People don't understand that, man.
Yeah.
So you better be willing to take on a lot of the brunt of the work, man.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, I didn't. I mean, I'm first and foremost, I'm a cook. You know what I mean? Like running the business side, that's a hard part. Like cooking, I can do it all day. That's fine. Right. Running the business, like, and expanding, like, oh, yeah, I got a big gig coming, and I can't really say much about it, which sucks because I brought it up.
Why would you fucking say that then?
But like, it's gonna be a game changer. Everything's gonna change. So I'm honestly just waiting for it to get approved. It's already up in like the admin. But I'm working, possibly doing something really big with a really big, we'll just call it a team.
Can you give us any more insight as to what you're trying to allude to?
I don't want to get too ahead of myself, and I'm not like superstitious, like jinxing it, you know, but I'm in the works of providing for an entire athletic program.
If So here in the 5 cities?
SLO County.
SLO County.
And I'm doing a whole athletic program. And when this thing takes off, which we're hoping January, it's already like everything's done. I've submitted, told them what I can do. They think it's great. It's just going into like a budget situation. Can they fit it in the budget? But if it does, like it's going to be a game changer. Everything's going to be huge. Everything's going to change. My life's going to change. The people around me are going to change. I'm going to be able to supply jobs. Like, cause you know, right now my operation's 2 days a week. It's just still wham bam because it's what we could fit in. But this will be like more of a 4 or 5 day work week. And what I'm stoked about is to be able to supply like full-time jobs for people.
Yeah.
Who I have some people who that are great in the kitchen, but they do little odd end jobs, 2 days for me, 2 days for someone else, 1 day here. Like I want to be able to supply full-time gigs for people where they don't got to worry about how they're going to pay their bills and like they're on my payroll and I can take care of people too. Like I have my team and I'm taking care of my people, you know, that's the thing. I have some great people that do work for me and I want to be able to do more for them. But being in the position I'm in, and it's 2 days a week, and business always, it goes up and down depending. I just want to be able to do more for them and know they're taken care of and supply. But yeah, so if this gig goes through, it's gonna be great.
So when you say the people around me are going to change, what does that mean?
The what?
When you say the people around me are going to, like, everything's going to change.
Like the people around me, like the people who ride with me.
Oh, I see. Like,
Like
their lives are going to change.
Yeah, it'll change like the people who work for me. Like, it's going to be a game changer. Let's just say it's a good contract for everybody involved. Like, it's an official, like, contract. Like, chances are, if this happens in a year, I might not be doing what I'm doing right now. I might exclusively be
Just athletics.
Yeah, actually, now I'm thinking about it, I can do that. I might have to have 2 separate kitchens because I don't want to get. I refuse to give up on the people I'm helping now, the people around here. I refuse to let, like, money or some other kind of better deal come along and take away from what I'm doing. Because I set out. I mean, it's going to be great because it's going to be helping an athletic program, but I still set out to help change people's lives and change people who don't know how to eat, what to eat, and they just need help, or they don't want to cook at night because they're busy with their families. Like, I still want that done. So there's going to be a multitasking situation. That might mean, like, a second kitchen involved that I build specifically for one. And then, like, this has always been my dream, is to help people.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Eat and feed them and know what they're, how to live their lives and longevity. Because you can train all day, you can do that, but you can't out-train a bad, and I hate the word diet, but diet, like, if you eat like shit and still work out, and you still eat sugar and drink like 2 liters of, like, Coke a day, like, probably gonna get diabetes, you're gonna die or have arteries that are clogged, like, live till you're 60. Like, people do not understand the importance of whole food ingredients, and because it's so easy to have fast food readily available to us. The crazy thing is, I know probably not you, but in case anybody else has seen, like, fast food, it's like it's not what it used to be. You used to go to McDonald's and get, like, a cheeseburger for $2 and you could fries, drink, burger for $5. Dude, now you could barely get it under, like, $19.
Really?
Yeah, and my meals are like $15 a piece, and people are like, that seems expensive. And I'm like, compared to what? You go to Five Guys for a burger, for the burger itself is $17.
Really?
Yeah, then you get fries, it's an extra $5.
Jeez.
And then you get a drink if you get a drink, like. So I'm always telling people, like, it compared to what? Because my costs have skyrocketed since COVID. That I told you was the biggest thing, like 300%. Like, chicken went up, it cost me 300%, and I kept, like, more. So pricing out my meals is like, I was pretty much giving these meals away. So I had to adjust my prices a little bit. They went up like $1 each, but I'm still working that out because everything just keeps going up, and I gotta adjust to that.
Well, how do with other meal prep companies? Because I know like competition. So, like, when it comes to what they're charging. And I'm sure you have people that come to you like, well, I can get a meal from blah, 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 and it's only blah, blah, blah. How do you combat that? What is your opening argument? Because I know you have to be professional and you can't tell them, look, motherfucker, I use top-notch ingredients and these guys are not, or they're not sourcing the meat from who I'm sourcing from, et cetera, et cetera. So how does that go?
But it's easy. I don't ever say anything to put those people down because they're just doing what they think they know best. And even though half of them are ripping me off, we don't need to get into that. And because they've approached me about it and it went bad.
Who's approached you?
No, we don't. We definitely don't need to get into that. We're going to leave that one alone. We've kind of made amends since then. Okay. I'll tell you off the camera.
Okay. Perfect.
And, I just tell them, hey, look, you can go try them. You get it cheaper, but, like, you're gonna know the quality when you eat it. Like, that's fine. I understand you're trying to save $1. That's fine. But what are you sacrificing for that $1? And people have went and they did it for a week or two and they're like, oh, this sucks. I'm like, yeah, because what separates me, it's easy. Like, I have real passion and drive. I didn't get into this because, like, oh, I can make money. Like, I literally dedicated my life to cooking and learning. I didn't throw away. Took, like, my 20s of, like, not partying, not doing all these things. I mean, I still had fun, but, like, just grinding in the kitchen and learning from people who are willing to teach me and working late nights and learning about flavor combinations and taking pride in what I'm doing. And I think that shows in my food. Like, what sucks is that, sure, the food's in a bag. It's in a vacuum seal bag. It's not the most pleasant thing to look at. But the longevity compared to everyone else, that was a big difference too. How many other places can you take food in a container for 10 days, put in your fridge, and still be as fresh as the day you made it? It's not. It's going to be nasty within 5 days. Mine will last you up to 10 days in a fridge, and you can travel with it. It's easy. So, like, the longevity is a trade-off for it, like, looking pretty. also I have the food knowledge. And a lot of these people, they were just like, oh, I cooked at home, or like I was a mom and I like to cook for my kids, so I could cook for other moms. Or they have someone else they work for, it tells them, hey, make this food and go rip off Ryan's fucking recipes and see how he does it. Well, it's fine. You can try to do that, but like I understand flavor combinations. I understand what ingredients go with what. And it's just the passion and love that I have for cooking. It's no one around here really compares. There is one girl who actually has a meal prep company and she's really great. Her name's Elena. I'll give her that. She owns Mindful Meals. I'll even plug her. Like, that's how much I like actually appreciate her. We kind of stay out of each other's territories, but she's great. I think she was a chef for Facebook, but she was actually a real chef. Like, she's like comparable to me. Like, we both have a passion for it. And I appreciate what she does. She kind of has a different business model and we just stay out of each other's territory, like I said. But like,
So is she South County or?
Is she like Los Osos?
Oh, Los Osos.
She does Los Osos, like over there, Morro Bay. Like I'm more like slow and stuff like that.
I've never heard of her.
She's rad. She's super rad, and she's a great chef too.
Mindful
meals. Yeah, I know. Look at me, just plugging other people's meal prep companies.
Hey man, that's good on you, dude. That's good on you.
No, like we've actually had a really good relationship, and like like sometimes we'll call each other like, hey, like, do you ever run into this problem? Or like we'll bounce stuff off each other, you know what I mean? And like there's just no worries about it. We just get along. And everyone else, all these other companies are like people. They for some reason always think I'm gonna be an asshole. I don't know if it's the way I look. I don't know if it's the nose. I don't know what it is,
Nose.
dude.
Oh shit.
I don't know what.
I've never thought that.
I don't know what it is, but like then they finally meet me and they're like, oh, like you weren't as bad as I thought you were gonna be. I'm like, why do I put out this asshole persona? Or I know it's because you're ripping off my meals, because you literally copy and paste my menus. Like I and then you always feel like you're doing something wrong, so you got to find a reason to hate that person. Because I've talked to those people too, and they're just like, and it's weird, dude. Like, food's one of those things where I never worry about someone doing it better to me because it's my take on my food.
Yeah.
And I know how good it is because I put everything I have into it. Am I the world's best chef? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is there people who do what I do better than me? Probably, because they have better business experience. But like when it comes to making the food, I believe, and I don't think I'm the best person in the world, but I am confident in that my food tastes good because I taste it. And before it goes out, I'm tasting it to make sure it's adequate. And I would never say it's good enough. It's always going to be perfect. Perfect to my standards of how I want it.
Yeah.
And I don't settle for any less.
Well, again, that's why you're successful, man. Going back to the whole thing about people think you're a dick or whatever like that when they meet you, I can tell you why I have that persona about me if people think that I'm this, that, or the other. What is your authentic take on why you think people don't or think you're a certain way?
I think it's because of my body. I think it's because of the way I look. I think it's because, I don't want to say it's because like I care how I look, but I'm fit. Like I was at a store today and someone literally was like, man, you're really fit. And like, that's just normal to me because like, that's how I live my life. And some of the people I'm around, they're fit too. So like, I don't think anything of it, but I think we live in a society where you see people and like the average person picks out like, damn, that person's fit. And it's not as, it's more common to us because we surround our lives with that. And I think people think that I'm judgmental because of maybe the way I look, and I look at other people different. Like I would look at them like, oh, look at that person, they're not fit. You know what I mean? And that's not who I am. But I think it's funny. I think they think I'm a dick because of the way I look or maybe present myself.
Yeah. And that's before they know you're a chef or whilst knowing you're a chef?
Before they know I'm a chef. When they find out I'm a chef, they're like, oh, actually that's like the icebreaker.
So why do you think that? Do chefs have negative connotations attached to their name?
Some. It depends. It depends on the chef, because there's some chefs who are just like raging narcissistic assholes. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, and I mean, there's always that like Gordon Ramsay on TV throwing shit, screaming. And there are chefs. I've had chefs like that. But I think we're just in a different time now. It used to be like you literally were like berated and punished and like yelled at or like food shoved in your face, and you just put your head down and said, yes, chef. You never made excuses. Your chef screams at you, tells you you're an idiot. Don't let that happen again. Just all he wants to hear is yes, chef, never excuses. And that's kind of how old school you used to be. But now I'm more into like treating people with respect and getting respect back.
So that's a real thing, because I've seen that on shows. Mm-hmm. They like chef shows, where they yell and they talk shit to the person, and they just say, yes, chef, yes. So that's a real thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If your chef yelled something at you, if you said something like snarky back or gave attitude, like you can almost expect hands. Like your chef would come up to you and be like, "The fuck did you say to me?"
Really?
And he'd be like, "Oh, sorry, chef." Like, no, it's too late. Grab your knives, get the fuck out of my restaurant. Right there, middle of service. Doesn't even matter who you are. Like, it's like, who do you think you are? Fucking talk to me like that. Like your chef can do it, and you take it. Yes, chef. Like, if you burnt something, they don't want to know. Like, they don't want excuses like, "Oh, I didn't know the oven was still," or like, "Oh, the worst, dude." And I hate this too. Is people say it wasn't me. Like, out of everyone, like, "Yo, how come these tomatoes are burnt?" And so it says it wasn't me, chef. Like, who cares? It wasn't you. You're all a team. Like, being the whole, "Oh, it wasn't me. I'm not in trouble." Like, no, now you are in trouble because you're the one over here fucking not being a team player. Like, I don't care. All we want to hear is, "Sorry, chef, won't happen again, chef." Boom, done. Moving on.
Yeah.
But those people who are like the little weasels, like, "Oh, it wasn't me, and I'm out of trouble." Like, no, you're not safe. Now I know exactly what kind of little rat bastard you are, and like, I don't want you in my kitchen.
That's so crazy, man. It's like militant.
100%. I had a sous chef who was like, sous means under, so like under the chef, second in command. He was he was in the Marines, and he was militant about everything. Like a lot of chefs, we all have like ADHD too, like bad. We layer everything. Everything is labeled in the kitchen. There is not one thing that you can find that is not labeled with a date and the person's initials, so we know how old this is and who also put it away, like in the walk-in in the fridge. We have it all stacked, so in case it's out of place, you're like, "Okay, who did this?" "Oh, Ryan did it," because there's RH right there. And where we go back and be like, "Yo, you put this the wrong way," or "Why didn't you cover this properly?" Like everything you can track and trace back to a date. You know how old everything is. We're not serving old food. We know who did it, who put it away in case it was done incorrectly.
Interesting. Well, that makes sense. I mean, you have to have a trail, so to speak.
Totally.
You know,
because we need to be able to backtrack. If anything happened, we need to be able to go back and like point the source, or if something like if we made a mistake, well, how can we not make that mistake again?
man, I never knew the actual internals of this operation were that militant.
You would fucking. Have you seen The Bear? I know you
What?
probably don't watch a lot of TV, do you?
I don't know.
Do you ever watch TV?
Once a week.
Okay. You give yourself once a week? Is that
Yes,
your
on,
time?
on Cheat Meal Sunday.
Okay.
When I'm eating fucking ice cream and donuts on the couch,
Yes.
that's what I watch.
I want you. So on, it's on Hulu. It's called The Bear. It's
Bear.
30-minute episodes, so you might be able to binge like a couple while you're doing that. And it's called The Bear, and is literally the greatest depiction of what happens in a kitchen I've ever seen. And it sounds weird. I feel weird saying this, but I've had people even be like, "This reminds me of you." It's very strange because it's about this guy. He was a Michelin star chef. Michelin stars are how they rate some of the finest restaurants in the world. I think 4 Michelin stars is like 3 Michelin stars is like the highest. I feel like I should know. It's not just from the food. It's from the way the napkins are folded to the service to the ambiance. They rate this. This dude is one of the best chef de cuisines, which means he's the food chef. He comes up with like the menu and stuff in the world. And his brother dies. And he owns this little like sandwich shop in Chicago. And so he goes to take over the sandwich shop from like being one of the top chefs in the world to just like apron, white shirt, making sandwiches. And he's just trying to figure out how to navigate life and keep his brother's little sandwich shop above water while dealing with his brother who committed suicide, and like how to navigate that and figure out why he's so in debt. But like it shows they did us and I say us service industry people such justice on showing the lingo in the kitchen. How when you walk behind someone in a kitchen, you yell behind because that person could have something hot and they turn around like boiling water or a knife, and if you don't know they're there, they don't say someone's standing behind you, you could just turn and boom, you know, bad shit. So you behind whenever you walk behind someone, you let them know you're there. Happens to me all the time. I'm in a grocery store and I'm walking by, I'm like behind, and people are like, "What the fuck are you doing back there?" But dude, it's just engraved. They use like lingo. They talk about how they talk to each other, how like meticulous everything is, and why you're doing it right. My point is like, if you didn't know how all this went, like the show is amazing at depicting and respecting what happens in the kitchen so much. It's called The Bear, and it's a great story too.
It's called The Bear or
The
Bear?
Bear.
The Bear.
The Bear on Hulu. You have to watch, dude. When I watched it, I was just so blown away. And it's weird because like I said, it's interesting. It's this guy now running this business a little bit in over his head. Like his brother just died. I was thinking like, you know, my best friend just died. Like, all like who worked with me, all these things. There's so many things that I can relate to, and it's not like I'm forcing it. Like I really want to relate to this character because he's a chef. You know, like it's insane the shit that happens in this show because I'm like, why is this my life?
No
It's
shit.
so weird, dude. It's really weird, but
And people have told you like that's.
I've had people be like, "Yo, why does this remind me so much of you?" And it's like, I don't know, like multiple people. And I don't know. Like I said, I feel like it sounds so cheesy, being like, "Yeah, it's like my life. It's like my fucking life, bro." It's insane.
Current day.
current day, still trying to navigate this damn thing and figure out how to run a business. And
Well, what apart from the athletics contract, where do you see it going in the next like 3 years?
Next 3 years, I think, dude, I mean, that really just depends on the athletic thing. And it's not like I'm banking on it. I just know where that will go if that takes off. But that aside, I think I've been working on being able to ship meals. I have people all over California who want the meals. And like, I know a lot of companies, they do it, you know, Freshly, all these places, they ship meals. They have boxes, the insulated boxes, all that stuff. There's a way to do it. It's just so expensive for the clients. Like once you get the boxes and the gel packs and shipping, it's like $70 extra. I'm like, no one's going to pay that.
70 extra.
Yeah, because you got to buy the box, which is like $22, which sounds crazy unless you get them wholesale. Then the insulated piece that goes in, that's like $4. And you got to get those frozen gel packs that you're never going to get back, plus the weight of it. And I'm like, there's companies that do this all the time. So there has to be an efficient way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then how do they? That was kind of the question that I asked you, like, I don't know, probably 30 minutes ago, about how, like, your competition, how they're doing, like, when they do it so much cheaper. Mm-hmm. But not when I say cheaper, I mean like by $3 a meal or $2 a meal.
I don't know how they're making money.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. Like, how are they making money if they're only charging that much money per meal and they're also shipping shit, doing the dry ice?
Well, what they're doing is volume, and that's where you make up for it. Like if you can charge $7 a meal if you're doing 50,000 meals a month.
Even if they're like good gourmet look, like not gourmet, but you know, like they got different sauces, they got, you know.
I mean, I don't know how they do it, honestly. I don't know how they do that, but I'm thinking it could be cheaper, but if you sell so many of them, you're making up on the volume. You know what I mean? It's like if you sold, it's just the sheer volume that they do, and they're getting also, you know, getting wholesale. I don't know how these big companies do it like that. Even then, they're not really getting it a whole lot cheaper. Like it's still like 15, like again, like my meals, like they're $15 a piece, which is still a deal. I don't know where anyone else eats for under that. And like everything you do is it's grown in Slow County. Like it's local can get, you know, everything's free range. All our stuff's grass fed. When we get beef, there's no pesticides. It's organic. Like all this stuff is what costs us top dollar to make sure we're giving top quality to our clients. Excuse me. Top quality to our clients, and you know, like it costs money. Like if you've been to the grocery store, if you've bought boneless, skinless chicken at a grocery store, you'll see it costs as much as what we used to pay when we used to get like a tri-tip at the store. You know what I mean? It's like $7-8 a pound for chicken, like air chilled, like organic, free range chicken, like Trader Joe's like $7.99 a pound. Like that's insane for a pound. Yeah, you know, and like it's not much less for me even at wholesale, which it's just everything has gone up, and it's so hard. It's hard. I don't know how some of these businesses sell stuff. Like I feel like they're losing money. Like I don't know how they do it because I can't. I literally have to raise my prices more just to be able to keep my business running. Right. You know, and my irrational fear is like people are gonna think I'm trying to take advantage of them, and it's like, dude, I'm just getting this thing covered now. You know, because like before COVID, like and during COVID, like things were good, and I haven't changed my business a whole lot. I mean, I've incorporated new recipes and done stuff, but it's just like the profit margins just go down because the prices just go up.
Does that make you not want to do it anymore?
No, I mean, I want to do it. There has to be a way. Unfortunately, my only answer is I know that like anything else, gas goes up, you know, price of new pair of shoes goes up, new shirt from Lululemon is going to be, you know, 85 instead of 78, dude. I know how much that shirt costs. You know, well, that's before your discount.
Yeah, before the discount, yeah. And speaking of discounts, you're an ambassador for Lululemon. People should know that. So you get a fucking fat discount.
Yeah. I'm officially a legacy ambassador now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Man. So my run with them has come full circle. I'm done.
Oh, you're done?
No, I'm not done. I'm forever an ambassador, but we're called what's a legacy ambassador now. So it means like my giant huge ass picture isn't up on the wall anymore. It sits in my living room on the floor.
That's a bummer, man.
No, I know they do cycles for 2 years over there, and then they bring in new ambassadors. Like, you know, they keep it fresh. But like I was one of the only, me and 2 other people were the only ones they kept on for a 3-year contract, because after 2 years they dropped everyone. But we didn't get to do a lot on our second year because of COVID, so we kind of got screwed out of it. So when they're like, "Hey, we're offboarding you," thanks, and I was like, I kind of threw a fit. I just had surgery and I was really high as shit on pain pills. And I kind of may or may not have threw a fit. Like, what'd you guys do for us this last year? What? Like, so we just get kicked off like that and you're not going to bring anyone on for a year? Why aren't you going to keep us for an extra year? And like,
Right.
they pulled some strings and kept me on for an extra year. Not my proudest moment, but hey, I got another year out of it. So that was
That's
fun.
awesome, man. Yeah, man. For people that don't know, I mean, Lulu is like the only thing I wear, dude. It's probably the same thing for you.
It was until recently.
What happened?
So it was like I have 7 drawers full of Lululemon.
Yeah.
So like I still shorts I wear. Dude, I've come across. God, I feel like I shouldn't be plugging them without getting paid. And I'm sure you've seen it. Workout attire, like Young LA.
Oh yeah, I've seen
Dude,
that.
I love. Well, it's great because it's harder for me because like as you know, like I'm short. Like I got this shirt on right now. You know. And
That's
this isn't
Young
a
LA
workout
shirt?
Yeah, yeah. Just a Young LA.
Nice.
Yeah, and like they have stuff that's fitted for people who work out. And big thing is it's hard for me to find a lot of shirts because I'm shorter. So stuff that fits my torso
Yeah.
or even my arms, and they make stuff for smaller people, which is kind of cool.
What's the fabric like? Comparable.
Their workout shirts are very similar to that, like the moisture wicking. But the thing is, they have different shirts and they all have different fabrics, and there's specific ones I like. When they ever come with anything new workout wise, I literally have like all the different kind of shirts they have. But they have like one called a delt shirt, like it's like that. Like you see how we're wearing seamless shirts,
Yeah.
And I like that because I feel like a lot of times it cuts here and it makes you can't see like definition or like cuts my shoulders off. But short shirts like this, you're able to have like more of you could see like a rounded delt look.
You
know what I
can.
mean?
That's the thing that's what makes that shirt look really good, bro. Is
Right.
You can see more delt, shoulder trap.
And they have specific shirts like the delt shirt, like that. You know
That's
what I mean?
crazy.
And so it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. I just really like they come with new stuff all the time. They get me, and it goes straight to text message. Like, oh, new drop in 2 minutes. I'm like, click link, and here it is. And I'm like, add to cart. And I'm like, man, that's what I need to be doing. I need to be getting on that text message game for my meals with my menu, where it sends
yeah.
people a message every week like, here's the menu on Wednesday, here's the promo code, save 10% off. Speaking of, if you order today, you save 10% off by using an early bird code at cleanmachinemeals.com.
Nice.
No one's gonna hear this today anyway.
Well, no, it's dropping today. So it's dropping
it?
tonight.
You're
So
gonna edit
they
all
might hear
this?
it. Oh yeah, man. I fucking monster.
Okay,
I'm a
that's fair.
monster, bro.
We gotta. Oh, let's talk about something real interesting. I feel like talking about my food and stuff.
Okay, real quick. I want to ask,
Yeah.
what shirt is that called? The delt shirt?
I think this is a classic, like the scallop tee. It's called.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll pull on once we're done here. I'll cruise.
'Cause I
through it
like
with
that
you.
shirt, man.
Well, they have like so. This is just like a regular like t-shirt they have, and I like it a lot. But then they have like the workout shirts, like the Delt shirt. I'll show you, dude. I love, and it's all super reasonably priced. Like not like any of their shirts are never over $32.
Oh man, that's cheap.
Regular shirts and workout shirts, and dude, their sweats. You're gonna lose your shit.
You know, compared to Lulu, that's nothing, dude.
You can get 3 of these shirts for the price of one, and I sound so stupid saying that because I plugged Lulu for so long, and I love it. Like it's fine, but like I found these which I like adequately as much. That costs a whole lot less.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I can get 3. I can get 3 of them for the price of one, and it's not like it's worse quality. It's like very comparable.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Like the metal vent tee, like
Metal Vent's all I wear when it comes to workout
Right.
shirts like that. That's
Yeah.
all I wear, and I'll wear a couple different versions that they have,
yeah, because it's a thicker one. You have the one that you also have the ones I'm sure they're like more the jersey type of material.
I don't wear a lot of those. I forget which one that one's called. I don't know.
They're still metal vent, but there's something like they're thinner material than
Yeah,
this. This is
they're
like,
the ones you wear during like the summer. That's supposed to be like the breeze. Isn't it like breeze
yeah,
or is it-
yeah. And they show more. They're more. They're thinner. I wear those to work out a lot.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. So let's transfer away from food. Let's transfer. Although that is your massive area of expertise for you, bro. I mean, it's crazy how much you've retained rather throughout the years of being a chef. And for people that don't know, man, you have to. If you miss this whole entire podcast, but maybe you hear just a little bit, dude, you need to try Clean Machine Meals. And I'm gonna tell you. I know we're talking shit on the podcast, like how it's so good. And I know people will talk about their own food. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. I don't talk about things that I don't like, period, or I don't think work, if it turns to supplements or whatever, even if it's programming, anything fitness related, anything that I'm embedded in. I don't talk about it unless I don't like it or I don't know that it works and it's worked on me. The food. I'm telling you, when I told you, and Ryan's not looking me in the eyes because he knows what I'm going to say. He knows I'm going to compliment him right now. The food is fucking crazy good. Like you're cheating when you're eating it. That's how good it is. In fact, you know how much I love my cheat meals, man. I think I've told you this. There were times where instead of a cheat meal, I ate 3 of Ryan's meals or 4 at one time. Because I love the foods that much, man. They're that good. Now, I definitely had ice cream after, but I had like 3 or 4 of the meals at one time. My biggest gripe was when I was done eating, I wanted to eat more. I wanted to have like 2 meals at one time for one meal. But that's because the food was that good. It kept me wanting more. Again, I don't tell you this because you're here. I don't tell the listeners this because you're here. That's my real experience. So you need to just try this man's meals one time. Just try it one time. You'll know what I'm talking about. In fact, you will look at the cover and be, 440 calories? Bullshit. Bullshit. Like me.
There's 1,800 calories in this
At
damn thing.
least, man. One of my favorites was the pulled pork sliders you had.
Oh, we
Do
just
you remember
did that.
those?
Yeah, dude, I hadn't done them probably since, and I did them like 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, bro.
I know.
Those were so good. And then honestly, the stews you did. Any stew you did,
I did stew this week. Why didn't I bring you any?
Oh man, it's so
I got them at home.
fucking good.
I'll drop back by. I'll bring you some tomorrow because I have them. We just made them 2 days ago.
Dude, only if you're in the area. I don't want you to make a special trip, man.
Well, I meant to bring you some, and I was, yeah.
Well, fuck. I know what my cheat meal is gonna be.
Yeah, it was gonna be that beef stew. That's what we made. No,
Man.
I mean we're getting we do everything seasonally too. Like I try not to do soups when it's 105 degrees outside. You know what I mean? But I just feel like now we're getting in the fall. I'm like, yes, this is a time I can do like braised meats, pulled pork, and like polenta, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Dude, tell people real quick, like 5 of the top selling meals or 5 of the favorite meals that you have that people that really, really love.
This week I did what's called pad ki mao, which is a Thai dish, and it's just like you can go to any Thai place and they're gonna have what's called drunken noodles, and it's noodles with bell peppers and your choice of meat. We did chicken this week and this kind of sweet Thai chili sauce. And it's a very classic Thai noodle dish. And like we did that. We did that without soy, oddly enough. We used coconut aminos, gluten or dairy. I mean, it never has dairy. But also the gluten part is not hard because in Thai dishes, they use rice noodles anyway. And that's what we use is rice noodles. It's literally rice flour with purified water. That's it. But like being able to recreate these kind of dishes that are like takeout dishes that you get, which you think unhealthy, like replicate those and those be clean and taste, identical. Not like, oh, it kind of tastes like it. Like I nailed this dish and I had people who were like, oh my God, how did you make Thai takeout for me to take home and have like on demand, you know? But I would say the Thai one, and I just did this one recently, people lost their shit over it, and it was like called it was a pork egg roll bowl, and it was pretty much like the ingredients, like a deconstructed egg roll, and it's like lemongrass, ground pork. By the way, we grind everything in house. I don't buy anything ground. If we get beef, if I do chicken or anything, I have a grinder. We grind it fresh right there because I don't trust when I get ground meat in of what's actually in it, the parts. I know when I get it, I'm either doing boneless, skinless chicken thighs and breasts together, or I'm doing pork loin, which is lean pork. I'm grinding it all myself, and I can infuse all the flavors with it. I grind like roasted garlic, onions, green onions into it, so we're actually infusing the flavors inside. Man. So I do that all ourselves. But this pork egg roll bowl was like one of the biggest. Like it just went off. I've been doing a what was it? Oh, a chicken and enchilada. I call it like a chicken enchilada casserole. And I just call it a casserole because the way it's layered. But it's just a chicken enchilada. We braise the chicken. And we do like Spanish rice, like black beans, like charred corn, and all that. We make a layer of that. So you do tortillas, the enchilada sauce with the corn and rice mixture, and then the braised chicken in the enchilada sauce and more tortillas, and we put more sauce. And I made this dairy-free like nacho cheese sauce. I actually had someone do a side-by-side taste of like the Fritos, like jalapeno cheddar, and then I did mine, and I just put it on a plate and have them taste it, like this one all the way. And I'm like, that one? Like, yeah. I'm like, that one it's nacho cheese with no dairy in it.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, what? I'm like, that's the Fritos one that we all love out of the can as kids. This is what I made without any dairy. And they're like, you're a liar. And I'm like, nope. And I went and got the tub. I made it. I was like, try it. Like,
that must have been so fulfilling, man. When they thought that yours was the worst one.
Well,
When I mean worse for you.
Right, right. Well, yeah. Well, my point is like I literally made it taste like it was nacho cheese and there was no cheese in it, but no one knew, and it looked identical, it tastes identical, it was all the same. And that's the point. I'm a fucking chef, man. Like, and people are always like, "Oh, is it a secret?" It's not a secret. Like, I'll tell you how to do it. 'Cause you're not gonna be able to do it the way I do. 'Cause it's all about technique. You know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna tell fucking Ronnie Coleman how to squat? No, like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you should try this. Like, I think he was been doing just fine until he had to have like 8 back surgeries. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna tell this dude how to do it because he does it just fine himself. You know?
Yeah, it's true.
And yeah, dude. Anyway, enchilada with the nacho cheese sauce, like that's been a huge hit. The butternut squash chipotle chili has always been like a favorite. I don't know if you remember.
I've had that. I like that one, man.
Yeah. And I feel like there's another one. Oh, dude, the shepherd's pie, pulled pork shepherd's
Oh,
pie.
yes. That was another one of my favorites, man. The shepherd's pie.
I've been doing a little different now where I do like a barbecued pulled pork with sweet potato puree as a shepherd's pie.
Oh, shit,
yeah,
man.
Those are all your jams too.
Those are fucking the shit, man. Like I said, food too good, man. Food too good to be like kept in a diet or like what I would perceive as a diet.
Right, as healthy food, healthy alternative. Man, I really just hate the word healthy too, though. Being like, this is healthy because everyone just has a bad correlation with health. Like, oh, it sucks. Like, oh, health food, you know? And that's why I don't want to say health food. I just want to say whole food driven ingredients.
Yeah.
Whole food, no non-GMO, no garbage. It's just, and that's how food should be. Like, that's just how it should be. We shouldn't have to worry about what's in our food. And it's such a shit shame that we do. We have to worry about what's in our food, where it's grown, what it's been sprayed with. Like, half the time, these when they use pesticides, it makes the bugs that get sprayed on, makes their stomachs explode. Like, what do you think that does to us? Like, sure, we're bigger than a bug and our body can take a lot more. What do you think that does to your insides over time of consistently consuming? You know? It's
whole food. No bullshit, man. That's basically what it is. So that's what you promote. And that's what I wanted to talk about, man. I didn't know this about you, but you were in CrossFit. You competed in CrossFit?
Yeah, I competed for probably 5 years.
You said that in the very beginning. You kind of grazed over it, like I had already known, or that people know that about people. Do people know that about you, that you competed CrossFit?
I think a lot of people do. Maybe not newer people, but like that's where I started. So honestly, I owe CrossFit everything for where I'm at now, which like I'm not a big fan of it anymore. And because like I competed and I went hard and like I got hurt because I was reckless, you know. But I had a very tight group of friends that I rolled with that like I would have done anything for. And you know what I mean? And we all worked out together for years. And we did the workouts. We showed up every day. We had our schedule. We had our workouts planned out. And like we rolled together tight as like to all these CrossFit competitions. And a lot of times we dominated. As whether we do the team competitions or individuals, like we had people in the group like dominate that shit. I mean, we did it from here into Pismo all the way to San Diego. We would go all the way down there. And because I did these competitions in Paso, and I used to work out in Paso is where I started, and then Atascadero CrossFit was there, and then in Pismo, Chad over C5 Fit, and all over. I made connections from doing all these competitions and meeting all these different coaches. And once I made connections with these coaches and started doing what I do now, meal prepping, I had already had these connections with everyone at the gym. So I was like, hey, like, can I make your spot a drop-off location? You think your people will be interested? Your clients would be interested? Kind of like I did with you. Like, you think your clients would be interested? You know, I could drop off meals. So, like, without having those connections, like, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. And it's crazy to think, because I'm like, that was such a time in my life. I had a different group of friends, people I had done anything for, a different mentality about what I was doing, a different direction of my life. And honestly, that part is gone. Those people are gone. Like, all those people, like, are gone.
That you did CrossFit with.
Yeah, it was because it was one of those things, like too much of a good thing, you know. We all got a little obsessed with it, and it was one of those things where like, oh, you missed a week, you went out of town for, you came back, like, oh, you fell behind, bro. Like, don't know what to tell you. We're moving on without you. Like, what? Like, I made this crew. You know what I mean? Like, I made this thing what it was, and I found it being toxic and being so obsessed with it, and it just pouring, and it almost had like the whole "you can't sit with us" crowd, like Mean Girls thing, you know. And I took a step back at that point, and I was like, this isn't who I want to be. This isn't the kind of people I want to surround myself with. And it just felt, once I took a step back and realized how I was being treated, made me realize how I was treating other people there at the gym too. Like, if you were in our crowd, then like, don't come back in this is our room. You know, the rest of the gym has this. Like, don't come back here. You're not part of our group. Like, that's how I was mentally treating people in my head. And I'm like, that's terrible. That's not who I am. And I realized that's how all these people were. And I had to take a step back, and I was like, yo, I gotta leave. I'm out. And I took off, and I went to one of my other buddies' gyms over at Headstrong Fit, Robbie McLaughlin, who's a good friend of mine, who I started my business. And I was like, hey, I'm ready to leave the gym we were at, where it's like my home base. Like, I want to make this my home base. I want to have my meals here for your people. And he was more than welcoming to do that. But yeah, dude, honestly, it was such a good, bad thing that happened in my life. Without it, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Like, without CrossFit, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Because I wouldn't have done these competitions, which I wouldn't have had relationships with all these coaches, which is where I have all my drop-off locations. But then, you know, like I said, I had to get away just because it's just downward spiral with people I didn't want to associate with anymore.
So now, do you still have drop-off locations?
Yeah. When I say yeah, I still have the same drop-off locations. I'm saying my tight group I was with in my old gym, like, that's dissipated. I still have good rapport with all the owners, all the gyms.
Well, people are seasonal.
Dude. Yeah, and it's weird because it was those people where I thought, like, this is it, my ride or die. I think they say you keep a friend, I think, for no longer than about 4 to 5 years. And I had a friend who I would take a bullet for any day of the week. And it was just like one day, just boom, gone.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, yeah. There's a lot of things that went into that, but like, you have a homie where you just think it's your ride or die that you treat, and you realize in the end they didn't have that same respect for you, and that's okay. You can't expect everyone to have the same mentality and put forth as much effort as you do.
Well, and that goes also into your business, man. And when people are cooking food, when they're prepping food for you, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, man, they may care a lot, but they don't care like you care. And they're not, because of that, they're not going to put that extra little percentage more into what it takes for things to be just right. You know, and it's like, I had a problem scaling my business, where the way to scale my business was to allow other trainers to come in and use my facility. And that was hard for me because I have to leave my product, I call it product, but have to leave my equipment rather to people to treat hopefully well, because then when I'm not there. But I knew that that's the only way for me to scale, to let go a little bit and deal with whatever happens in a appropriate manner as it happens. Is the only way that I'm going to scale and not hoard this space to myself and only collect when I'm here. That's the only way. And you have to let some things go, which is really fucking hard when you're particular and you have certain standards that you put on everything. It's really hard to just step back and allow some crumbs to fall from the counter when you don't want any crumbs to fall from the counter on the floor. You know, it's like, that's tough, man. But that's and this is what I would hear from business owners that started out, everybody starts out small and then they scaled. And this is a lot of their advice. Like, you're going to have to be okay with things being 90-10. 90% good, 10% bad. That's on a great scale. Like, that's on your fiscal year. If you had 90-10, great. You know, but otherwise, do things independent and keep doing and keep getting what you've been getting, because you only have so many hours in a fucking day. You can only do so much. You're one person. Right. It's really hard with food. You know, which is the reason why Amber probably does things really well consistently, because they're only open for fucking dinner. And they're only open 5 days a week. Yeah. So it's like, if the owner wanted to be there every day and chef every day, he could. Right. It's not like he's working breakfast, lunch, dinner, you know. So, but it's like, if he wants to scale and be bigger, he's going to have to some degree, relegate some of the things to other people, right? Which might drop quality just a little bit. He won't have the same reputation. Arguably he'll have still a good reputation, but he won't have the same as he would if he just stayed still and keep doing things the way he's been doing things.
You want me to explain that to you?
Yeah, please.
Because Brian's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Brian and Dave is actually his sous chef. And Brian, when he opened up Ember, he was able to go to his old restaurants and handpick his best guys. Like, hey, I'm opening up my place. I want you to be there. So instead of just like putting out resumes and people coming in, he went and handpicked his crew. And someone like Dave, who's a sous chef who worked for him, has mostly been taking care of the food for a while. And Brian stands there at the pass usually, which the pass is where all the food comes from the saute station, from the grill, from the pizza oven, and it all comes to him before it goes out where the servers grab it, and he puts a garnish on it. So he has seen every single plate before it comes out. It gets his approval. You know, if he doesn't like it here, wipe that, put that, you know, replate that, whatever. He does that. So it goes. But Dave is the guy who actually has been doing all the food. And now Brian's kind of stepped away from that, leaving the kitchen to them, and he's doing, because their general manager left, and he's been doing more of the front of the house kind of stuff. So leaving it to his crew to make sure it's taken care of and top notch. But because he has them trained, it's like how I do. I mean, he has it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing myself to Brian, but it's like you have to be able to trust your crew a certain amount, right? So you said you might be letting go, you might suffer a little bit because they're not going to do it as good as you. But when your crew, when you train them to have the pride that you have for the food and to care for the food, and you show them your expectations of what you expect, they will settle for nothing less than what you would expect. And that's the hard part. You defining those kind of people to care how you care, because no one's going to care about your business the way you care. Like I said, you'll wipe down every one of your machines. You'll be on their hands and knees scrubbing those floors in every corner. Someone might throw a mop over it back and forth, miss half of it. Like, good enough, right? I'm paying to be here to rent this spot. Like, he can fucking finish cleaning it up. You know what I mean? Like that whole entitlement, like, well, I pay to be here and like it should be cleaned for me. Like, no one's going to do it the way you do. But you have someone who comes in like, no, I'm taking pride. I rent this place. They expect me to make sure that the floor is entirely mopped and perfect. I'm going to do that job because it's my job to make sure I do that. Take care of it. You know, having those people to understand where you want them to be, because that's where you are. And that's what I was going to ask you too. Like, do you have anybody, do you have anybody like you mentor, or like anyone that's come in to work with you and been like, hey, I see what you do and how you do, like, not like I want to be like you, but like I see how much hard work you put in and it works for you. Like, teach me how to have this passion. Like, do you have anybody like that, or like people you work with who you kind of mentor a little bit, or wing or show, or have told them like, hey, that's not the right way. I do it this way because of that. And I know I just asked you a question and you're holding on to it, but a big thing for me is I explain to people, I never just tell people the how, like how to do it. I explain the why. That is huge to me. This is how you're doing it. This is we're cutting all these perfect medium diced brunoise or medium diced Mirepoix pieces. And why we're doing it is because they ought to be exactly uniform, because when we cook them together, if we have a piece that's this big, a carrot that's this big around, and this thick, and a piece that's this big, they're going to be cooking at different temperatures. So when this one is disintegrating, turning to mush, this big one's still not even cooked all the way and it's hard. So there's always a how we're doing something, but there's a reason I always back that up with is the why. So not only when I'm saying, how are you doing this? Okay, but why are you doing that? You need to know why you are doing everything. Because again, how you do everything, why you do it, how you do everything is how you do anything. Mm-hmm. And it's always a point of, you need to be able to back up when someone asks you what you're doing, and you be like, well, I don't know, it's just how we do it. Like, I hate that. You know, well, I don't know, it's just how I was told. But you need to know why you were told that. You need to know why you're doing things the way you are, you know, and have that answer and be able to explain that to people. I think that's important. People need to know, especially when training people, how to do the right job, but why they're doing the right job. And it goes back to my question of like, do you have anyone that you kind of like that works with you, or that you could like kind of taught, or, you know? So
I've inadvertently had mentorees, and or secret mentorees, and I only find out about this because they tell me, they look at me like a mentor. But that's never been something that people come up to me and they say, hey, can you mentor me? It's always been sort of an inadvertent mentorship, so to speak, that was unbeknownst to me, to say the least. And it's always very humbling and flattering to me that somebody would even think of me to some regard where they would want to come under my wing, and they do it in a secret way. They watch me, they listen to me, they ask me certain questions, and they do this repetitively, routinely for maybe a year or two or even longer. And then I end up finding out that through their own suspension that they say, well, I've always looked at you like a mentor. And I never knew that's what I was doing this entire time. I was just being who I am, which is when somebody has a vested interest in something that they think I have knowledge in, that's the most sincerest form of flattery to me. And I always give my 120 with that person because there's no other compliment that's better than that.
Don't you think that's why it's important too then of like how it's important to present yourself and your own work ethic like for yourself, but because you never know who's watching. Like what if there's someone who looks up to you and they watch you like half-ass give a shit, and like there's someone who's like, man, like I really, whether it's your aesthetic, whether it's how you do things, but they watch you give 50% to everything, like half-assed and everything. And you're like, man, what works out for him, like I'll just do that too. Like you never know who's watching, you know? And if you're setting a good example all around you, you never know whose lives you might be touching unbeknownst to you.
True.
And
Very
and I'm not saying like, hey, everyone wants to be like me, but I'm saying I do have people work for me and they're like, how the hell do you know everything you know? How do you know when I tell you, hey, like what's in a curry? I'm like, it's simple ginger bake, you know, starting with ginger, fucking garlic, onions, there's lemongrass in there. There's like I can name off the base product like ingredients of like, you know, and people are like, how do you memorize these things? Like it's not memorizing, you're just learning flavor profiles of different cultures and like the base of that. But like there's people who like my guys come to me all the time like, how do you know this? Like I want to know these things, I want to learn. So I know that being in the kitchen is a certain way. I have to I can't come in and have a bad day. I can't come in and just be like leaning, you know, because I can't. That's not something I'm doing. People are like, hey, shut up for I'm like, man, you know, like I just didn't sleep well last night and like, you know, like whatever, I'm having girl issues, like they don't give a shit about that. I can't be putting that kind of energy out. I always have to be top notch on top of my game because they're watching. And it's not like if I show weakness, but if I'm down, like they're gonna be down. I have to set the tone for all those people who are around me that I'm setting an example for, because I'm the leader in there, you know what I mean? And that's what I was saying, like with you, I know like what you do is a solo project, so I just didn't know if there's anybody else around you that works with you or work close to you. You know, it's much more of a solo project with you where I have to have a team. I do have to have a team to do what I'm doing. If the team doesn't show up, which sometimes they don't, and we have less people to do it, it's going to be a longer day. Like I have to set that example, which is why like I don't get wasted on a Saturday night, because I know I got to be up in the kitchen by 6 a.m. And if I'm hungover at work, then why? And I tell my employees, hey, like don't be hungover at work. Well, like you're hungover, you're still drunk. Like why shouldn't I do it? You know, you always got to set an example, which is why honestly I don't drink. That shit just doesn't serve me either.
Yeah,
it just doesn't.
Yeah, when we're talking about I guess I should clarify, when I'm talking about the mentorees, these are people that are not typically trainers. These are people that are just like maybe in my local gym.
Okay.
That would, like I said, for maybe months and months or years on end, I guess, ask me, get my advice on things or what have you. And, you know, the kind of behavior that you probably put out that is day to day is the same behavior that most successful entrepreneurs put out. It's the same behavior that I put out. It's a default behavior. And the reason why I say default is because it's something that is just autonomous, that you default to no matter your feelings on the day, no matter your emotional stance, no matter what happened to you, etc. It's what you default to, especially in times of threat or in times of, you know, low sleep or feelings or what have you, or just a massive amount of fires you had to extinguish. It's a default that you fall back. It's a behavior that you default back to. It's what you know you need to bring to the table in order to get shit done. And I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's just I don't know if that's ingrained in us men or if that's in everybody, but I see it more predominantly with men, that men will just not be in their feelings or suppress their feelings if it means getting a job done, because they know that they have a deadline to meet. They know that the job has to be done no matter what, because like you said, no one gives a shit about what you're feeling. That's it. I don't know that I ever hear women talk that way. No one gives a shit about, maybe they say no one gives a shit about how I'm feeling, but more often than not, people give a shit how women feel. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but I'm sure the same way. If you see a woman down in the dumps, you're going to want to go coddle her to some degree, whether it's through words or a pat on the back or something, because you don't want that woman stressed out. You don't want that woman feeling any type of threat or pain, etc. So we definitely want to let them off the hook.
Yeah.
Men don't have that luxury. I don't go to you if I was to work for you and be like, hey Ryan, man, I went out, got drunk, man. I'm just really fucking over. I'm hungover. I almost said overhung.
I'm overhung.
And I said, and I'm just, man, can I just like do an easier task today? Can you just give me like an easier?
Yeah.
You would be so appalled at me, bro. And you would be like, for one, you think you're a pussy. And secondly, you think you're a fuck up for getting drunk on a work day.
Right.
You shouldn't have got drunk last night when you know you have an obligation to me and to your work the next morning.
I can't tell you how much that shit happens. All the time. Dude, 2 weeks ago, I had 3 people who don't hang out with each other all miss work. 3 people out of my 6 because they all got drunk the night before.
Fire them. Fucking fire them, dude. That is a weak link in the chain.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And one girl was just completely honest. She's like, oh, I had a big party last night. We got really drunk. Sorry, I just woke up 2.5 hours late to work. I'll put on my stuff and I'll be there. And I said, absolutely not. I said, take the rest of the day off. You're not coming in with whatever half-ass you have in you right now, still drunk, hungover. You're not coming in here today. Because what example does that set for the rest of my crew that they could do? Like, oh, she just showed up work late and she's haggard and her hair, you know, and still drunk, but she showed up. Like, no. I said, absolutely not. I said, this is your last chance. I said, come to work ready tomorrow, but you still left us shorthanded. This will not happen again. Because everyone's human. I get it. But it just happened to be 3 people in the exact same night. All didn't show up. And same story, too. And that's just Murphy's Law, dude. Like, you know, what goes wrong will go wrong.
It's true.
But it's hard for me because, like, I'm not a big drinker. You know what I mean? I don't. Like, I prioritize. Like if I have some drinks, it's because it's a friend's birthday somewhere and it's a big deal or I'm out of town. Like, I don't, like, oh, man, it's 8 o'clock. I got nothing on. I'll walk down to McCarthy's. McCarthy's is a stone's throw away from my house. I don't go. The only person that convinced me to ever go is shout out to Matt Gaines when he when he texts me at 10 p.m. was like, hey buddy, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm in bed. He's like, you want to come hang out? And I'm like, when are you gonna be there? 15 minutes. I'm putting this guy on blast. Anytime that guy says 15 minutes, it is fucking 2 hours no matter what. So if you ever want him to be anywhere, tell him to be there 2 hours before you really want to. If it's 8 p.m., tell him 6 p.m. We'll show up at 8.
Really?
Yeah. The only guy ever gets me out, and we always, you know, sometimes have a drink, but thank God it's a block away from my house. When I have my one, I'm like, oh, it's 9:30. I better go home. Just walk home. There 3 minutes later.
Dude, so I like the way you handle that. You know, you said, I like talking a lot of shit, and I say fire him, and I really do mean fire him.
No,
but however, I like how you, because I think I'd probably do the same thing. I'd empathize with the person. We're all human. Get it? Okay, but don't let it happen again. The fact that you said that is very, very. It's very important that you put a standard on that person, and you put like kind of a boundary on that person. Like, this is only going to happen one time, because obviously, you know, humans will walk on other humans if they find that they can do so.
Right.
But still fire them, dude. If they're fucking do it again, fucking fire them.
Absolutely. And they know, and they know. And it's hard because, again, like, I know how to prioritize myself. I know that I don't get FOMO, dude. I don't get, you know, fear of missing out when I can't drink. Like, people are like, oh, it's my friend's birthday and everyone's going to go out. Like, what if I miss a good time? Like, how many times in your life have you been drunk and it was someone's birthday and all this shit? Like, you've done it all before. What are you going to miss?
Right.
And I get it. Like, opportunities come and go, and sometimes life's about experiences. But, like, again, I think I expect too much from people. Sometimes I expect people to show up sober, well-rested, and ready to work. And that's 3 things are almost too much to ask at the same time. And that's kind of what's wrong with where we're at now, because everyone is based off of your mental health and where you're at today. Like, some people have called in like, I'm not having a very good mental health day. Like, since when do you get to call into work because you're just not feeling it? Like what? Like, how many? I've had to go to work. I've had to show up. Dude, unfortunately, I worked in restaurants. Like, I had to show up sick. If I was puking, my chef was like, get your ass in here. Puke in a fucking trash can, which is insane because you're making food and you're dealing with food. And one by one, all of us on the line, my guys, we got sick, but we also had to come to work sick. It didn't matter. You didn't get to call in. And if you tried, then it was that much harder because your chef screamed at you to get your ass in there. He doesn't care. But Now it's all about how people are feeling, and like I just don't really feel like I've heard it. I'm not having a good mental health day. Like, bitch, I haven't had a good mental health year, but here I am, fucking showing up, doing what I have to do to make it happen. Because guess what? There's people who expect my deadline for me to show up. They want to go to be able to pick their meals at 6 a.m. on 6:30 on Tuesday morning, and the food better be there. What happens when I'm having a mental health day? You know, like dude, when my best friend passed away, like I told you, he was. And I'm not like trying to make this all about that, but like he was my one person I had that I could trust. That would come in and help me get everything done. Like that was on a Monday. On Tuesday, he passed away. On Sunday, I had to be back in the kitchen right away without him. Back in doing what we did together. Like people paid for their food they wanted up. I didn't get to like stop. You know what I mean? Like life doesn't stop for us. And that's what people don't understand is like the more you sit back and you just wait, like I'm just not having a good day. I'll wait. Well, world keeps moving. It's gonna pass you by, and you're gonna be left behind, and you're not gonna be able to catch up, and you're always gonna be in this space of like, not today, tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And that's a bad headspace to be in. So I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get in the gym tomorrow. I'll make a change tomorrow. Because tomorrow is always another tomorrow. And those kind of people with that mindset, I hate to say it, are weak. And I have a hard time being around those people because I just don't vibe with it. I need people who are around me to push me. Sometimes when I want to be lazy, when I'm like, I'm tired today, I shouldn't do that. So I sometimes want someone to be like, dude, just get your ass in the gym. Like, you know, like if I'm like, I'm going to skip today, I'm kind of tired. Just go do it. You're going to feel better if you go do it. Go get a quick 45 minutes in, hit it hard, get a pump, and you're going to feel better about yourself and about it. And instead of just like, I'll do it tomorrow. And there's just not a lot of people around anymore that really just have that go get it attitude and know that on the other side of the hard shit, there's value. And people don't want to do the hard shit. They want it easy. But on the other, you know what I mean? Like, I've heard this shit lately, and it's like, you're going to suffer either way. You're either going to suffer like putting forth effort and progress, or you're going to passively suffer on a couch somewhere, sitting there, a miserable piece of shit, watching a TV, wondering why I don't have abs, why I eat a bag of Fritos. Like, I just want to look good, but I don't want to do anything for it. You either suffer in the gym, building better character, stronger mental and physically, or you can suffer sitting on a couch getting diabetes. You pick which one you want.
Yeah,
you want to suffer working through a good workout and getting stronger. And I think, you know, physicality like that, it builds mental toughness, as you know.
It does.
When you've done a hard ass workout, when I used to do CrossFit, bro, I thought I could do anything. When I would do a 15-minute burner nonstop, I literally was like, this is the hardest thing I'm doing today. Anything that comes at me later today, I can handle. It doesn't matter what it is. Because I did that shit where 7 minutes in, I was like, I'm only halfway through. I got to quit. And then it was 2 minutes left. I'm like, I got to quit. And then it was over. And I'm like, holy shit. I just mentally and physically pushed through that harder than I was ready to quit 7 minutes ago. And I made it. And I really feel like those kind of things, mentally and physically, workouts like that, they make you stronger. So stronger, and realize that your mind is always going to tell you enough, stop, this hurts, stop. But your body can push through so much more. And it's capable of so much. And I think people now let that mental, I don't want to say illness, but like mental weakness eat away at them and tell them that they don't need to. You don't have to. You don't want to go to work today. It's okay. You don't feel good today. It's okay. Just sleep in. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to. It's okay. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to be depressed. You don't know what you're depressed about? That's okay. Like, just be depressed. You're allowed to do that. Like, figure it the fuck out.
Well,
sorry.
They should not be allowed to be that way. And the reason why they're depressed is likely because they're not doing anything of meaning or purpose in their life.
I agree with that.
Because if you were doing something that was meaningful as a human being, you wouldn't help but want to get out of bed and go do that thing with meaning, that has meaning rather to it. So I'm not saying depression isn't a real thing.
Yeah.
But people are conflating real depression with just like feeling low. And real depression is where you wake up with the feeling of your entire family died last night in a car accident and you have nobody. That's real depression. Do you feel that way when you wake up? Can you even fathom what the fuck that might feel like? If you can't and you don't feel that way, chances are you're just feeling low for the day. It might be because you're not getting good rest. It might be because your diet is shit. It might be because you're not exercising, etc. All these things matter, and they all add to the equation of you being a beneficial human being, not only to yourself, but fucking to society and what you contribute. So you're probably not depressed. You're probably just low, but that also means you don't give yourself any slack. That means you keep going towards the things that you find value and meaning in, and you keep on your pursuit. There's something that you cannot relegate yourself from, and that, or absolve yourself from, and that's your business, because it is who Ryan is to some degree. It is a part of his identity. It's what makes him up. It's how people know him. It's what his reputation is predicated on it. Like, all these things are run in tandem with who you are. It's like, if you were to absolve yourself from that, well, who's Ryan? You know, because that's who you are. It's a part of your identity. It's just like, it's with most people that find their meaning in what they do. If they do it long enough, it becomes a part of their identity. It's how people know them, interface with them. It's how they build their bravado within their society or within their community. All of that. And that matters. Those things matter because it puts you in a place of belonging. And us as humans want to belong to something. So, but you're in charge of what you belong to. And I hope you belong to something of meaning and purpose instead of the couch, binging on Netflix, eating Cheetos like you alluded to. Not the business, man.
It's not. I think, I think just people have a hard time finding purpose, and it is hard. Like, I found something I was good at, and I found an idea and I ran with it. And I know a lot of people, like, if you don't feel like you have a purpose or a specific skill, like, I know people who wake up just feeling depressed every day, just like, I'm depressed today, and I don't feel like doing this and that. And I've even asked, like, what makes you feel depressed? Like, well, I don't know, I'm just depressed. Like, to me, I can pinpoint what's making me feel that way. What the outcome, why am I feeling like a piece of shit? Why am I feeling depressed? Why am I sad? I can pinpoint that. And what can I do to change that? And I think some people don't want to do the hard work to have to change it. Like, I know people who just can't stop drinking because then they're like, what would I do with my life if I stop drinking? I'm like, exactly. But think all the things you could do if you stop drinking, because all you know is the drink and those people. And when you don't drink, those people don't want to come around you. What kind of friends are those? What kind of foundation are you building with those people? Like, you just got to, again, it's hard, especially when that's all you have. Like, I have a good friend. He's big, heavy drinker. And without it, like, I honestly don't know what kind of group or people you'd have. But I'm like, dude, you're better off alone and sober and building your life over again than, the road that's going to take you down.
Hey, man, I agree with that, man.
And I like I said, big thing is, we all struggle. And I think it's just, you choose how you struggle. You struggle to do things that are to build yourself better mentally, physically, and as a person, spiritually. Like, those things don't come easy. You work for those things and they're hard. You suffer to make those things happen. We make a lot of sacrifices for us, I make a lot of sacrifices. I sacrifice things as simple as like not going and drinking and doing that. Those are sacrifices to be made because I know how it makes my body feel and where it makes me mentally, or you're going to suffer, like I said, regardless. Do something positive and suffer positively, or you suffer passively on a couch somewhere and watch your whole life pass you by and wish, no, you should have made a difference. Like, dude, if you're going to choose one, you might as well choose something that's going to build a better you.
Amen, dude. Well, that's a great note to end on. Well, why don't you tell people where they can find you, bro?
You can find me, well, not me specifically, but my business, cleanmachinemeals.com. Our Instagram is at cleanmachinemeals. You can find all of our menus on there. You can see a lot of the past pictures that we've done. And we post every menus every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Order deadlines Fridays. If you order late, we can usually squeeze you in. Any questions, cleanmachinemeals@gmail.com. But I would like to say the food kind of sells itself. Like Justin said, it's a clean eating that tastes like cheating.
That's right.
And
that's right.
Yeah, my passion is cooking. I love helping people. Any questions you have, feel free to email us, cleanmachinemeals@gmail.com. This has been great. I've been super stoked to do this and give people a little more information. It's good to see you, dude. I don't think I've seen you since
COVID,
since the C word hit.
Yeah.
Because I was delivering meals to you, and then you're like, bro, I don't know what's happening with my business. I'm broke. I can't buy these meals.
Yeah, it was a while, bro. We haven't seen each other, and I had to kind of lay off a little bit and readjust my finances to make sure that I keep my business afloat.
I feel that
during the time. And actually, I was trying to do a model change of my business, so I was allocating a lot of those funds and putting them back in the business, and I was just kind of do my meals and shit, you know how I do it, rice and chicken. So I had to make it myself. And, but I'm very pleased to say that we're a lot better than we were pre-COVID. So pre the C word,
the other C word.
But we have a lot more to talk about, I'm sure, dude. And
Yeah.
we need to get another episode in. So
We'll do something that's not so business oriented and just talk about how fucked up the world is and people are.
That's right. I love
how
it.
they
I
get their
love
life
it.
back on track.
more to come, maybe a couple months.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for
All
having
right,
me, dude.
guys. Done. Nice. Right under 2 hours, dude.
Damn, we went for it, huh?
Yeah, man. But